Hello, hello. All right, Anthony, why don't you kick us off?
What's going on, guys? Anthony Angelillo, CEO, founder of TAG Lending Group. We are a lender and we are licensed in the state of Florida, Texas, Pendon, Georgia. Our fame to claim is our 14.5-day submission to CTC and our roadmap to homeownership. Those of you that have not utilized our services, what we do is we provide a comprehensive roadmap and we allow to navigate all the ins and outs in order to securitize a mortgage for that consumer. So that is what we do. I am the co-host of Damage Control, and I'll leave it to Melinda Grimaldi to say hello and introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. Melinda Grimaldi, real estate and title attorney with the Grimaldi Law Firm and the Closers Title Insurance Agency. So what we do is we get you closed. We represent buyers and sellers, act as settlement closing agent, escrow agent, the works for getting you to the closing table. So today is about maximizing your productivity with the use and your sales and marketing with the use of VA's services. We chose this topic because we get asked quite often how we do it for our own businesses. So we thought, let's go live on the topic.
Yeah, there's a lot to go into. So I'm pulling up the list right now.
Anthony, how long have you been using VAs for?
I want to say now 4 years. It's been about 4 years, give or take, going on 4 years. And we just hired 2 more yesterday because we had some issues with follow-up and call-in. So we'll go into that as well and why I chose to hire 2 new VAs. But yeah, 4 years in the making. And I always say this to everybody I speak to, I would not be anywhere without my team, which is, obviously the team that got us to this level. But in terms of the ladies in the back end and the gentlemen for the VAs, these women are fabulous. Like I would not be anywhere without these women. So I owe it to them. So big shout out to them, those of you that are watching.
Yes, big shout out to our VA team as well. We're actually going on 4 years also. I think it started off 3.5 years ago or so with my first VA, and then the rest is history, right? So,
and who was that? Marion? Marion was the first VA?
Yes, and she started off in marketing, and then now she is helping build up my infrastructure and the back end systems for everything, right? So, huge part of our team, and then of course we have several others that we've added throughout the years, and it's been very smart, a very great way to scale our businesses, right? So there's certain positions that we can't have virtual team help for, but there's certainly a lot of ways you can have, whether they're in the United States or overseas, certain positions tend to go to a virtual type of position. So you definitely need to have systems, you definitely need to have strategies, you definitely need to have tools for that. So let's talk about let's talk about how to find a VA very briefly, because this is not about that. But Anthony, how did you find your first VAs when you first got started with them?
So what I did is I asked a friend who does a lot of online businesses, and he introduced me to Upwork. And so I went on to Upwork and I found a young lady 4 years ago that's from the Ukraine that now runs my entire operation, I want to say, in the back end with all of the virtual assistants. And it was just crazy because on Upwork, it's a great starting point because it's very cookie cutter and allows you to choose and select what you need in terms of a virtual assistant. But more importantly, what I needed at that time was I needed to build my systems, and I was just currently starting on implementing HubSpot and all the other systems that we had integrated. And she was vast on all of that. She understood it. She was tech certified with HubSpot, and she knew marketing. So I always call her the unicorn because she's really a smart individual. And it started with that. And then lo and behold, now we're hiring I want to say this is the 12th VA that we have. So we're scaling, but it's crazy. Upwork, honestly, I think for everybody is the smartest decision, not the cheapest. But I know they vet, a lot of the virtual assistants. And what I noticed from trial and error, at least from my point of view, I loved working with Filipino people. I think they were just the best. I mean, I've worked with people from Europe and I've worked from people from different countries, but I found what worked for me was, Filipino people.
Well, yeah, I have different staffing companies that I found different team members with through the years that have been recommended to me. I know there's a lot that specialize in the real estate space that already are pre-trained or partially trained. But at the end of the day, training is super, super important. And having whether your team members are in person or virtual.
Yeah.
So long story short, you need to have the systems in place to make that happen. And so where do you start? Really, you have to start to see what is this team member going to be responsible for? And then how am I going to teach them to do those responsibilities? And what tools do we need to be able to function as a virtual team? So I think if you don't already have a virtual VA or any team members, you got to start with that list. What is it that you want this person to help you do? And if you're not sure, then go through your day, your week, right? The next 7 days, and just start to document. This is something I can outsource. This is something that's practical. This is something that's reasonable that someone else can help me do. So going through that list and then figuring that out, down to sometimes even your personal preferences of things, like your personal tasks. Most recently, I have one of my VAs helping me schedule doctor's appointments for myself and my kids, just because that was something that kept falling through the cracks, right? So that's one example of something that I just didn't have the time to do anymore. So making that list, checking it twice, and then teaching them, figuring out how you're going to teach this task. So whether that's recording a video, a how-to list, a template, a checklist, what kind of systems are we going to implement? Right?
That's tactical work. And that's what they should be doing. The E-Myth, the book that I was just reading and I finished it finally, they call it tactical work. And that should be definitely delegated work. And a VA could do that with their eyes closed. So
right. So we literally have a list of responsibilities for every team member. We house all our systems in Nuclino. That list is there, and then every item on the list is linked to the how-to for that list. So when then the team member starts, they're able to go through and see all the trainings they have lined up for each task. And when they're starting to do the tasks, they could have it open and really easily reference what the how-to is. Now, sometimes that might sound overwhelming because you have so many things you want to do. You don't have all the trainings built out. I would say start with a few.
Yeah.
And then after that, have a few of the most important, most repetitive tasks. And then after that, you can train on the job while you're showing them and having your virtual team or the in-person team member write it out for you. And then you can review and approve it so that you're not spending so much time doing non-income producing activities, which can definitely lower your production and your numbers, which we definitely don't have any space for these days.
Let me ask you a question. I didn't ask this in the live, and we should have went over this. Did you start off with like an Excel spreadsheet? Like, what did you start off with in terms of
when I first started, I started in Evernote. I used to house everything in Evernote. But the thing is, as we grew, we weren't that was not scalable. So then we moved everything from Evernote into Nuclino.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Is that was the thing I was thinking of.
Nuclino is a free tool that you can use for a team. There's multiple users within a team, and you can have shared policies, procedures. The logo is a brain, and the idea is it's like a shared brain for everybody. With time, there are I'm almost outgrowing that system now because we have so much in there. But I don't really. Now's not the time to be revamping that system. We're focusing on other things. But that's something that in the future we'll probably house our own website, just because we have so much, right? We have production
Yeah.
how-tos, we have marketing how-tos, we have sales how-tos, we have HR how-tos, we have financial how-tos. So there's a lot of that. But what I will say is that creating these written things, you shouldn't wait to start for the start date, but you shouldn't be trying to get everything done right off the bat when you're first getting started. Okay, with time now, I actually have an onboarding procedure for every team member, depending on their role. We've built that out, saying this is what you're going to learn the first day, this is what you're going to learn the second day, and it's all linked to the materials we have, whether it's videos, whether it's HubSpot training or Qualia training videos. It doesn't always have to be mine, right? So a lot of these systems have their own trainings already there, so you could you pull those links out and make them part of your system.
Yeah,
So
I would personally, if I was watching this and I'm a new agent, I would jot things down and I would make a list, because that's more important, is just to get the things that you need done, allocated or delegated to the VA. But make sure you're not in a position where if you're scaling and you're a team, you're going to now have to take all the information that you just put in one system and then put it into another one. That's kind of what we're going through right now, and it stinks. It's not a good position. So
yeah, so you have your list now, you have your trainings. How do you keep track of what's being done? I think is another one of those things that a lot of people worry about. How do I know? Well, you're going to be delegating, but you shouldn't be abdicating tasks, right? So you should have check systems where you're able to verify the work that's being done, and project management systems for more like on the marketing side, et cetera, to see how things are going and to get progress and reassigning reviews, et cetera. So what are you using, Anthony, for your project management?
we're using Trello, we're using QuickBooks, we're using Slack, and we're using HubSpot. I know that's a lot, but the main source that these ladies like is Trello. And I know that you're using Asana, which is badass. So
Right. So I would
to
say
each their own.
HubSpot is not a project manager. It's a marketing and sales manager. So HubSpot really is really for sales and marketing. It's not managing a project. It is the project, right? Or it is part of the project. You're using it to execute on certain things. Trello is what you're using as a project manager, because
Trello is the number one.
That is where you say, okay, I want to do this marketing campaign, or I need to fix this in my systems, or I need to do this or that, and then who's going to do what by when is all built into that, and that's where the project updates are being made, etc. So you use Trello. That's a free tool. I use Asana, that is paid, because I wanted to add workflows and automation to some of my things that we do repetitively.
Yeah.
So we set that up in that way with multiple users and being able to do that. So of course, we also use Qualia. Qualia manages the workflow for our files, right? So that's one thing. And then Asana is for marketing, sales, HR, and everything else that's not work for the client. Okay, so it's like project based. And it allows me to assign tasks, put due dates, put template workflows, have daily routines, etc., built into that. And then you mentioned Slack. So Slack is a communication tool. It can sync to a lot of the other tools that you're using. We use Slack as well. And Slack is a way to communicate with a virtual team. What I love is how it integrates with Zoom. So you could just do a /Z and you open up a Zoom meeting, and then whoever is on the other side of that channel can just jump on.
It integrates with everything, even Asana too. Yes,
it's super smart. So I could see when my team members are checking stuff off. I could see when I'm being assigned something for review and in Slack for Asana. So, all these things take time to build out, but once you do, the productivity really goes a long way. And sometimes if you're just getting started and you don't have time to build them out, that's part of the job description of that new team member, is to help you build these things out. Because a lot of the build outs, yes, I've been leading them. And in the beginning, I did most of it all by myself. But as I grew team members, they were helping me to build out these things. For example, even just with our HubSpot, right? Where I have my team members working on it. I hired your team members to help me do it, right? So there's like a lot of outsourcing happening there. Of course, I'm leading it with the reviews and the ideas and the vision, but I can't be doing everything, right? And that's the idea, is none of us can be doing everything. So what's our highest and best use, right? So we
Expectations.
setting expectations. I think for me, I set expectations by daily routines. I set expectations by job descriptions. I set expectations by KPIs or key performance indicators. My team knows what they have to do. They know by when they have to do it, and they know why they're doing it. So that is, I think that's important. Even if you're a smaller operation, that's how you get productive. That's how you get efficient, and that's how you start to see results. Whether it's one person
and that's
or 10 people.
where all of these systems integrate with one, because you want to pull KPIs from every single system to make sure that, things are getting done properly on time as well.
Exactly. So we also, in terms of the review and supervision, we also have weekly meetings, daily meetings, depending on who it is and what department it is, because now we have different departments for the companies. But we are, even in the beginning, it was like, okay, let's meet on Zoom and let's go over what are our priorities for the day, what do we have to work on, what's going on. Email management is a great tool to have some help with, because there's so many emails in our business. It just gets overwhelming sometimes. So email management is definitely something that I would suggest you all think about as what are you, if you pay attention to what, if you pay attention to what your time is being spent on, I guarantee you there's a lot of it in that. So what were you going to ask me, Anthony? Sorry.
How many meetings should they have?
It really depends on how many team members they have, and it depends on how experienced that they are. We have on the production team with our in-person, we have a daily huddle. We're going through files every day to see what's happening in the next 2 weeks. Our marketing team has, with me, a couple meetings a week, but they have their own meetings reviewing things and overseeing things. I have an admin meeting. I have a meeting with my bookkeeper every week. All these different meetings are all team members that I have full time that are helping me with things. But if I'm assigning projects, I need time to review them. Sometimes I have time to review them in between meetings, but a lot of times I'm on the meeting and I'm being presented a suggestion, a product, a result of something, a proposal, or content to review. So you can use that as an opportunity as well and give like direct feedback recorded so that they remember what you're saying.
Yeah.
What about yourself?
I'm just trying to think. You got me thinking, every department has specific times with meetings, but in terms of the virtual assistants, they're meeting on a daily basis at 8 a.m. I'm meeting them now on a weekly basis, but I had to hold their hand for about 2 years every single day on a meeting with them to guide them and understand exactly what they should be doing. But it's different. You're right. It depends on the team. So
it depends on the team and if you have a leader of the team or not. If you're still the leader of that team, then you're going to have to run those meetings. If you have a leader of that team, then you're able to have that leader on the team. And sometimes you can pop in and sometimes you'll be on it and sometimes you won't. I realized that I couldn't always be on my huddles on production because I'm not always available at that time. And I didn't want my team to wait for me to go through what needed to be done for the day. Because if we wait till 12 o'clock, or 11 o'clock, depending on what's going on, then how is that really being efficient? The idea is to start your day with the huddle so we know what our focus is for that point right there. So there's some of those are like that, and I have leaders for that. I would say for now, that's the only one that I don't have to be on.
The VA one.
No, the huddle, the production meeting is the only one that I'm not on every day. I am on it more recently because we had a lot of new team members here in our Florida office. So I'm training them on how to behave, how to prepare, and how it works, right? So that part of it is why I've been on it. But the idea is not that I don't need to be between my systems and my leader of my pod now. They're the ones that are telling people, what to focus on and not me. But my marketing team meeting, my admin meeting, my financial meeting, my sales pipeline meeting, those are all meetings that I'm still running because
constantly.
And really, to be honest, a lot of times these are meetings that I'm doing. We have our scheduled meeting, and then I'm constantly doing random check-ins and pop-ins based on if I'm getting too many questions. Let's just have a quick meeting and knock everything out. So obviously, this is a whole larger scale production, right? I started off with just one assistant. and then comes and goes and rotations and adding more, and then you lose a few and you add a few and you lose a few, and then the net gain now, I think we're at we're 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're at 10 right now in total. At one point we were 14.
Wow.
And there's been a little rotation. There's been some changes that we've been going through, but now we're going to be having a few more joining us. Probably, hopefully by the end of the quarter, we have 2 more people on our team. And then next quarter, we have a few more that we're looking to onboard, but it all started with one. You have to leverage your time.
Is that one the person that cross trains everybody and helps them out? Like Marion, does she help? She's like a jack of all trades.
Marion has been cross-trained. She was my first BA. She actually trains my in-person people as well. So we have our onboarding system now and so you're going to see, like, there's certain people that get, you're going to see certain positions you're going to have to be replacing over the years, right? So I was tired of doing it on the fly. I need to have a system to be able to because I'm too busy now to sit next to that person, right? Whereas before the person was sitting right next to me, and now things have changed, right? So I needed to create a system for the training. So it's like, these are the tools we use, create all these users. We have like a very specific thing, and then Marion guides them through it if they're having access problems, or if they're not sure about something, or waiting to collect or confirm. So eventually with time you could have that, but I would definitely suggest cross-training team members in the beginning. So, in case someone's out, in case someone quits, in case you have to fire someone, you're not stuck with that person's all responsibilities all on your lap all of a sudden now when you've outsourced them for so long.
I just did that this morning. Literally, I went on Zoom to help someone out. So
Excellent. So that ties us into like how to maximize your efforts. So cross training is super important, onboarding plans. And sometimes you have to always be ready to start training the next person before you really need them. I know that can be scary sometimes, but you never know when you're going to lose a team member. You never know when you're going to need a team member because of the growth or because of the rotation in staffing. So it's almost like, what's the next move? What is going to be happening that I need to be prepared for? And so in our scenario, I know with my business plan, what I'm going to be needing by the end of the quarter. So we're looking for it now. I know, what I'm going to be looking for in first quarter if everything goes as planned. So we are already starting to build out our job descriptions, our systems and stuff for those positions. So we're not scrambling for it, because once you need it, it's too late. You're already behind the ball, right? So you need to be looking ahead. And right now, the beginning of fourth quarter is your strategic planning time. October is strategic. I don't think this is a thing, but October should be like National Strategic Planning Month, right? If you're a business owner, if you're responsible for your own sales,
it should be, man.
You should be planning for your next year. And let me tell you, if you think you're going to do the same thing you did last year and this year for next year, and you're in real estate, that's a big mistake. You need to be changing your strategies, because we have to go back to basics. Right. So I know we're talking about the economy again, but back to basics. What does that mean? If you came into real estate in the last few years, you don't know what it means to really work a file, to work a transaction, because it, like the sales and marketing related to it, and the quickness of how things were getting sold, and the quickness of getting someone approved because the rates were so low, that's gone.
It was easy.
It was easy, right? That's not normally how it is. You needed a little bit more elbow grease, right? To get the deal done. And so we're back to that place. And so you need to be thinking about that, and how you're going to be shifting, how you're going to be operating your business. And on top of that, what free tools everyone's looking for the magic pill. There is no magic pill. You got to put in the effort, you got to put in the task, you got to put in the work to get the shit done. It is what it is, everybody. It is what it is.
So what would be the best recommendation for someone that rode the wave for the last 3 years? I mean, it was a joke to personally, I think it was easy as hell.
If you rode the wave the last 3 years, great. But
what do they do this year? What do they do this year?
What are you going to do differently is the question, is what you need to figure out. What are you going to shift before you get shafted? What are you going to get a shift? Anyway.
Hold on, I'm going to write that down.
You better be making some changes. I mean, we've been working on our transition plan with the new market and everything since the summer. because we've been seeing it like slowly changing every month, a little bit at a time. And we said, okay, well, we can't wait for this to just, you know, explode on our laps, right? So we need to be shifting our strategies. And so if you haven't already done so, now's the time. Whether you're in a shifting market or not, October is strategic planning month. You should be reviewing your business plan and reviewing your staffing needs, planning ahead. You know, a lot of times these staffing companies for VAs, there's a high request for them right now. Like it's a big demand because
Oh my God,
obviously the cost benefit analysis is what it is. So the point of all that is to say that you're on wait lists usually. So if you think you're going to want something for January, you better start shopping around your companies right now. You better start interviewing and seeing what you want to do, what the cost is included in your budget. And then from there, you know, implementing and getting ready for that onboarding. Because the reality is if you want to have an effective team member, regardless of where they are, you need to invest in their training.
Yeah.
You need to invest in the systems to support that.
Yeah.
And so you can't just decide one day I'm going to hire someone and have nothing ready for them, because you won't be profitable with that new person. They likely will not be efficient and effective the way you're going to really want them to be, and they're going to get frustrated and they won't stay.
It's crazy
or
that
you're going to be unhappy
crazy.
and you're going to get rid of them.
Or you could become complacent and they leave, and now you're in a position that you're scrambling. It's crazy you just mentioned that, though. You said, and it just caught my attention, you said, and it's probably catches everyone's attention, to forecast basically and project where you're going to be. And even if you don't think you're going to be there, if you have opportunity with someone that you can hire as a VA or anyone, as a matter of fact, then hire that person or make room to make sure that they come in, because that's a smart play, man.
Yeah, for sure. Strategic planning, you know, and then we should be reviewing our plan every quarter to make sure that is it still on the track that we anticipated? If it is, great. If it's not, what are we adjusting?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Back to knowing your numbers. It's back to getting ready for the next year, the next quarter. And, you know, as we are wrapping up the third quarter of the year, we're wrapping up September. We're going to start Q4. And this is the last push, guys. It's the last push for the year. You better get crack-a-lacking if you haven't been hitting your numbers. And
you better shift before you get shafted.
You better You like that? I like those one-liners. But yeah, that one I just created off the top of my head.
That's gonna be another
but yeah,
episode.
so remember, giving constructive feedback is important, having the systems in place, the training in place, cross-training, and always be planning ahead to see who your next team member is going to need to be based on your business planning projection. And then, you know, making sure you're checking in and being a leader of that team, and the rest, you know, will pay for itself. And that's all I got for you guys.
That's it. That's all we
right.
got.
Well, that's a wrap for today, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the show. We'll be coming to you soon live and on demand very soon next month. And we're always looking for opportunities for guest hosts. We're always looking for opportunities for topics. So if you have any, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. Otherwise, have an amazing day. And remember, let's get crack-a-lacking for Q4. Bye.
Take care, guys.